Welcome to the Real Estate Leading Edge podcast, where every week we interview a top producing agent who will share with you exactly how to grow your business and live the life of your dreams.
Hey there, Shadi Bazzi here, and welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Leading Edge podcast. We have a special guest this week, and I'm sitting alongside two awesome hosts, Mr. Robert Cabani.
Hello, everybody.
And we got Sherry Saad.
Hi everyone.
And Sherry, who's our guest this week?
Abe Taleb,
Hi, guys. How are you guys?
a rising star
Thank you.
at
Appreciate
Remax
it.
Leading Edge.
Yep.
We're honored
Awesome.
to have you.
Thank you. It's an
Good.
honor to be here.
Is
Amongst
it?
all these winners.
Yes, you are awesome.
Thank
So
you.
guys, here's the thing, every single, week, what we want to do is we want to bring you someone who's doing something, sometimes in a very unique way that's not necessarily being talked a lot about in the marketplace. And through my participation, specifically here at Remix Leading Edge over the course of the last 6 months, I observed Abe. And I saw that he has a very unique way about like literally building up his business and, just watching him get better every single week, the business coming in and stuff like that. So I was like, hey, Robert, what do you think about Abe coming on the show? And then I was like, hey, Sherry, what do you think about Abe coming on the show? And they're like, he's an awesome guest. And we have many more awesome guests coming. So we're going to drill him with questions today. We're going to extract what's in his mind and we're going to deliver it to you. So you too can win big in your marketplace. So, Abe, who do you want? Yeah, let's play this game. We like to play games,
First
right?
bite, you nervous?
Yeah.
No, I'm not nervous.
You sure?
Yeah,
Loosen up a little bit.
I'm fine.
We don't bite.
No, I know.
Okay, good.
Plus, you're a star and you got a good story.
Yes.
So.
That's right. That's right. So, Abe, what you're gonna do is you're gonna pick the first person that's gonna drill you with a
Yes.
question.
I'd like my friend Robert to ask me
Yeah.
questions.
Yes.
Because Robert has always been there for me when I had to ask him questions when I first started in the business. So he's
Right.
You're a great listener, you're a fast learner, and you implement, which is great about you. So, basically, if you would, just share with us your background, kind of what you did before you got into the real estate business.
Before I did real estate, one of my family members had a property management company, a very successful property management company. We're all doing very well, and I seen the sales aspect of it. The salesmen in the company were always making the most money, and then I decided, you know what, I want to try sales myself and get out of management. So I had a bit of a real estate background, but more in the management. And so when you're in management, you know real estate like the actual product. You know the product.
Mhm.
So that my background was in property management, and then once I seen how well people were doing in sales, I decided to try it out and give it a shot. And then that's how my decision was made. Basically.
Great.
By
So
saying-
basically, you learned a lot about the real estate aspect.
yes, the
and
actual
you got a lot of
product.
experience there
Yes,
on the management side.
right.
Excellent.
Was it easy for you to transition from management into real estate?
I don't think it was easy, but I wanted to give it the time that it took, and I did that, and what was time, everything usually works out. So it wasn't easy. No, it was not.
Okay, so how long have you been in real estate now?
This will be going on to my 4th year. So I got licensed in the beginning of 2016. So going on to 4 years now.
Okay, so about 4 years in the business.
Right.
Awesome. Okay, and did you have success right away and you got involved in
No,
the business?
I didn't have success right away, but luckily for
Okay.
me, Sherry was here to kind of help me and teach me the business, and also actually even give me some business. So that built my confidence, because I like a top broker like that is actually taking you in and helping you. So that was a good start, and you learn, and then you take what you learn and you basically take what you learn and you expand it out to your sphere of influence. And I have a strong sphere, so I was able to take what I learned, and once you learn something, you're confident, and then your confidence, people see that you're confident, and then they want to work with you because they believe in you now.
So you're able to blossom with your inner sphere.
I was able to blossom with my inner spirit, absolutely.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Great.
yeah.
So this topic, this podcast topic is all about networking, because
Right.
that's something that that's something that you do tremendously
Right.
and very well,
Right.
and it's part of your business and how you get referrals from your business.
Right. Yeah, there's many ways to get business. Some people use the phone, some people do mailers. Some people do billboards. What I did was I started networking because I'm an outgoing person. So wherever I go, I talk to people about real estate. And Robert will tell you, when you're always talking about real estate, things just come up and somebody will tell you, hey, I'm looking for this or I'm trying to do that. And then, you can assist those people and you can build a business by just literally networking and talking. If you talk about real estate 365 days a year, like my second year in real estate, like my friends got sick of me.
Yeah.
Like, stop, please.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
But you were their go-to guy.
I was their go-to guy, and it worked really well. And if you just simply talk about real estate everywhere you go, that'll be a business within itself. So that's kind of what I did.
Got it. So
That's
look, I think before we even get further into your networking strategies and how you became good at it, in the beginning, I'm sure you faced maybe some challenges, maybe some struggles,
Right.
to where most people would probably give up when they faced obstacles.
Right.
Like, what were some of the struggles that maybe you faced? And,
Well, when you first start, people will say, well, what do you know? You know what I'm saying? And then
Yeah.
luckily I had my broker to back me up. I'll say, well, we do know. We have at Remax Leading Edge, we have an abundance of resources. We got a broker who's an REO broker. We have agents like Robert that are listing agents. So I could tell them, actually, we do know. I could call this person right now. I could get the answer for you. So the struggles are people. You got to make people believe in you, and the way you can make people believe in you is to have the information behind you that we have here. We have a lot of information, a lot of different kinds of agents. Our office, we have a lot of resources. It's not just one style or one certain market. Like, people sell real estate all over Michigan in our office. You know what I mean? Including myself. I don't only sell in one area. Last year I sold like probably in 20 different cities. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm hearing you say here is, if we're giving advice to someone that's watching the video or listening to the podcast, is like, hey, why don't you take an inventory of who is in your office
Right.
that has the resources and the information that you need, that's going to give you more confidence, and
Right.
start extracting that. And I think, Robert, you're also very good at that too, tapping into other different people in the office and within your network as well too. Can you say anything about that?
Absolutely. I mean, we can get with the people around us. For example, Sherry does over 400 transactions a year. I mean, it's not hard to go to an office like hers and ask her any question about any transaction.
She's
She
been through
has an
every
answer
scenario.
immediately. So at this point in my career, I'm more like going to coaches and stuff like that, like Sherry and even Sherry. But the point is that. So obviously getting information from outside is going to be a huge help. But when I watched you when you first got in the business, and you weren't shy about it at all.
No,
which was
I'm
a
not
big
shy.
strength,
I'm not shy about
which
it.
was a huge strength for you.
Right.
I was immediately impressed. If you remember me telling you,
I
like,
do,
I was like,
absolutely.
you're going to be great.
I appreciate all the times that I come to you. Like the other day, I asked you. I was like, I got a seller. He wants this amount. What would you do? You remember?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the good thing about our office is everybody actually likes to see the next person doing good, and that energy. When you get that good energy, it goes a long way actually, because you're carrying yourself with high energy.
Yeah.
And people want that, especially when you're selling them a house. They want somebody who's happy, enjoying themselves, opposed to just trying to make a quick buck. So,
Right.
all that stuff goes a long way.
So, Robert, I mean, you've known Abe for a while, like since day number one, right?
Yes.
What are some of the things that you may have observed, like seeing him, who he was back then and who he's become right now? What did you kind of observe, or,
So for Abe, I mean, I noticed immediately he had the willingness to work hard, and he had a lot of belief in himself. And from day one, he was willing to ask questions, go to anybody and everybody in the office. I mean, even in the beginning, if you remember, you were trying to write up deals and you didn't know how to write a contract.
That's
yet.
right. That's
You're
right.
like, how do I get this contract together?
Yeah.
So, Abe,
That was my
what
plan.
gave you that level of belief in yourself?
I've always believed in myself because we've all had challenges in life, and then when you've been down and you've seen like the downside, then you say, well, you know what, it's okay. I'm self-employed now. I'm paying my bills. I'm doing good. So the belief in myself was just being content with what I had and saying it can grow from here. So that it doesn't take a lot for me to be happy. So the belief comes from hard times.
So
actually.
you come from humble beginnings,
Exactly.
and therefore you didn't need much to be happy.
Exactly.
You're like, they can't get worse than this.
Right.
So then you just worked your butt off.
Exactly.
Now, how was your finances when you first started?
Oh man, it was coming out of economic recession. I'm no different than the average person. America was in a recession, and I wanted to be self-employed. So it took, in my first year in real estate, all I did was rack up like $20,000 in credit card debt. That's what I did, to be honest with you. Then my second year, I made some money. I told you the story. I paid the debt. I paid the IRS.
Yeah.
I'm still broke. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
My third year, which was last year, which was a great year, I done really well for myself. So then I decided, no, I'll purchase my own property. So that
You
was
became a
nice.
homeowner.
I became
Congratulations.
So, you learned a few lessons,
Yeah.
figured out some money management techniques,
Exactly.
and then of course implementing what you've learned over the last couple of years.
Right.
And now financially, you're doing
Yeah,
much
financially,
better.
I'm doing much better.
That's good for beginning realtors,
Yes,
especially
absolutely.
to hear.
Absolutely.
So, that was Robert's observation. What was your observation about Abe before we get Abe to talk more about himself?
Well, with Abe, I noticed that he was hungry, and he was hungry to learn the business and observe everything that he could possibly, observe at that time. So he surrounded himself with veteran agents in the office. And he looked up to a lot of realtors. He wasn't scared to ask for help. He would actually even ask me at some point, "Hey, can you come with me to this listing appointment? Can you just show me the way?" And what Abe would do is to be nice and gentle about it. Is like he'll bring you a little a treat, lunch or something in a nice way, a gift, and then you can't say no. Which that's the hustle in him. He knows how to ask for something, and you wouldn't be able to say no. But he did surround himself with veteran agents, and that's what I think helped him excel very, very quickly in his business too.
Right. So something we've mentioned many times over here on the podcast, and I'm always mentioning to my clients and everybody I'm interacting with, is you are a product of your environment. So
Absolutely.
whatever environment you exist in, that's the environment that you're choosing for yourself. So choose wisely. And Abe, based on what you guys are telling me, he'd always come ask you questions and ask you questions.
Yes.
And basically, he knew that he didn't have all the answers, but he tapped into the people that already have.
Right. That's why I decided to come to this office, because I knew there was a lot of resources here, and at the end of the day, we could answer any question for any seller, any buyer. Like this office has a history of a lot of transactions,
Yes.
and that's what it's about to me. And I actually even considered the location of this office as a big name, Remax. I did my diligence before I came. As a big name, and even as a brokerage, something that's very important that people don't realize is the actual location of the office. You get what I'm saying? We're in a great location. We're right in between, a lot of cities right on Ford Road, so it's very important to be here. I actually love being at this office.
We are honored and privileged to have
Thank
you,
you.
Abe,
I appreciate
on our
it.
team.
Good. So how did you you got into business, you began to, did you already have a network that you were tapping into, or did you?
I'm a friendly person. I have a lot of friends, and I never burn bridges with people. So my network basically is my friends. My network is my friends. I have a lot of friends that are in good positions and good places in life, and we've been through a lot together, and a lot of them did trust me to give me their business, and I serviced them well. And they did well, and when you take care of somebody, they'll always feel like they should refer you to the next customer. You know what I'm saying? People think, marketing is great, and there's a lot of ways to get business, including marketing, but the best way to get business is by providing a high level of service, in my opinion. Because people always remember you for that.
How did you build your network?
My network, I built it through my family and my friends. A lot of my family and friends are very successful people in great positions, so just kind of through them. And going to events and talking to people is kind of how I built my network.
But just to keep it clear, because your family and friends have multiple agents that they do business with.
That's right.
So how did you get them to choose you to do business with you?
One thing that I always do is I make myself available to my clients, and I think that's very important in this business. In a very competitive market, like somebody tells me, when you first start, you got to separate yourself somehow, some way. So it tells you get off work at 6. I can only see houses between 7 and 8. The average person wants to stay home and watch a movie.
Yes.
Right.
I'm showing them houses.
Yeah, and then you also mentioned to me before, if somebody does mention that they want to make a move, they want to buy a house, they want to sell a house.
Right.
How do you follow up with that?
I keep following up. I
Oh
don't
my
stop.
God.
For a
And
year.
would you say that it's at a normal level or an
No,
obsessive insane level?
it's at an obsessive insane level, but you know what? It pays off, because that person that you talked to 2 years ago, if you don't follow up with them, then 2 years later they forgot you, and the next guy got the sale. So even though you called them for 2 years and it might annoy you, but when you close the deal, it was worth it.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
Do you know them after you close the deal still?
Absolutely. I call all my clients and I ask them for business, and I tell them, hey, you know what? You bought, the market was here, and now it's up here. Do you know you gained equity? I helped you.
Well, I
explained
love
to me.
that
Yeah.
about you, Abe.
Yeah.
See how he tries to, because buyers eventually become sellers.
Yeah. No, and honestly, I've worked with more buyers than sellers, and a lot of them have bought properties that have appreciated in value now. So if you're out there and you're watching, I've helped you tremendously. The market is higher now from 2016 when you bought your house, and you might have thought you paid too much.
I love it. I love it. How do you, I mean, some agents are very shy to, go into their network and ask for business.
Right.
Can you tell, new agents out there,
New agents out there, I recommend that you go to an office where there's a lot of resources where you could get the answer to any question. And if you have the resources to answer the questions, then you're not going to be shy, because you know what you're saying is right. And your customers will appreciate that. Like, I was with a guy, I just got an offer accepted in Canton, and I told my client, I was like, listen, I showed him 5 houses. There was one house he was considering, but it was a little outdated. I go, listen, this house is going to be pending in 2 days. I go, if I'm wrong, fire me. He started laughing. I was like, if I'm wrong, then I don't know what I'm talking about, and you shouldn't hire me, right?
Right.
He's like, no, I don't want to fire you. I was like, if I'm wrong, just fire me. And the house went pending. And he was like, man, you know the business. And that means a lot to him. And so when I told him the next house, I was like, listen, you got to bring your offer up a little bit. He brought his offer up, and he got an offer accepted. So
you control the situation.
You control the situation. You got it with your knowledge, and your knowledge is only as good as your resources around you. So
you're not shy to ask anybody for any referrals.
No, absolutely not. No.
So
As long as you're gonna produce, you're not gonna be shy.
So one of the things that we do at the end of the show is, and I'm gonna take a head start on that right now, is at the end of the show, every single person usually shares a quote. But I've just extracted a quote from, what he's talking about. So basically some of the things that he said is, because he said tap into your resources and get the knowledge,
Right.
etc. So my quote for today, so I can just get it out of the way right now, it's knowledge equals confidence.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. How do you stay in touch and follow up with your network?
I'm a phone call kind of guy. Like, even some of my, I have international clients from my days in property management that have sent me some properties, and I'm a phone call kind of person. They'll say, man, can you just email me? But I like to call and talk to people and check on them. And then obviously, if you're always out and about, you're going to see the people that you know. So by going to a lot of events and by calling them all the time.
Nice.
Good. Well, how often do you call somebody in a year, for example?
In a year, I'd probably say 15 to 20 times.
Wow,
So
really?
basically, at least once a month, you're tapping into your network.
Yes. And sometimes I'll go home and it'll be 7 o'clock at night, and I'll say, you know what, I want to come to the office. And I'll come here and I'll start cold calling people at night, when the average person does it in the morning. And what I do too is, when somebody buys a house and they're in a certain neighborhood, I got lucky a couple of times like this. I'll say, hey, this house just came up in your area. And they'll say, my friend is looking over here. And then their friend turns into a buyer. So
that's great. That's amazing.
If you sell somebody a house in a neighborhood and the house comes up in their area, the odds are they might know somebody that's looking to move into the area. So you should call that person and tell them, the person that you sold the property to, hey, a house just came up down the street, and they may know somebody looking to move, like a friend, family member.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's worked 3-4 times, where it was just you just made a phone call.
Absolutely.
And you got a nice deal out of it.
Good way to stay in touch. Good way
Yeah.
to ask for
Yeah,
referrals.
and
Yeah.
you're updating them on their local market as well. So hey, you buy your
Yeah,
house for $260.
exactly.
Guess what? The house on the same street is $300 now.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing about you, Abe, that I noticed is that your network is your lead generation system, your referral system.
That's right.
And that's all I've seen you tap into, and you've been the successful.
Right.
So, by him calling, the client that he just sold a house in the neighborhood, and to get more business, from that one client, because, somebody that client might know that wants to live in their neighborhood. I never thought about that.
And
That's a
even
great tip.
even like Robert was telling us last year how he did so well off of for sale by owners, and he knows the story. There was a guy that was for sale by owner in Oakman. I was like, man, I know everybody that drives the up and down Oakman.
Yeah.
And I wanted it so hard, and I called the guy, and he gave me the appointment, and I went to his house, and I don't have a script like Robert does when you go, or a presentation, but he's like, why should I hire you? And it was my birthday. I was like, look, I'm here on my birthday. That's how important this is sale is to me. And that guy has set me 9 deals. Literally, because that house, a lot of people took it because it was a high listing. Oakman's a prestigious street. And I sold his house. I sold his wife's sister a house. His first cousin's brother. He literally led to no joke, $60,000 in commissions.
That was a nice birthday present.
One guy, literally if you think about it, when you're not doing so well, if you get 7-8 deals, like he changed my life.
Yeah. And it's basically started with one call.
It started with one call. That's the crazy thing about this business. Another thing, I had a great listing last year in the Dearborn Hills.
Oh yeah.
And somebody, I'll show them a house, and they're like, "We want to sell our house next year." I was like, "All right." I gave them my card, and a year later they call me. It's a $450,000 listing. You know what I'm saying? Just by you giving somebody a card. So contact, he knows it's a numbers game. I play a numbers game. The more people you talk to, the more successful you're going to be in the real estate business. It's all about contacts. Whether you're cold calling, talking to people in person, the more people you talk to on a daily basis, you're going to build a business. That's what it comes down to. And you got to have the knowledge, obviously, to conduct a business.
One little thing that nobody knows about Abe too, when he goes to listing presentations, he thinks he doesn't have a listing presentation ready. You know what his listing presentation is? Is a box of sweets and baklava. That he takes with him.
I do. I'll take some of that. Yeah, I've done that a few times where I want to show them that I'm a nice, caring person. And actually, that house on Beachmont, because they're older people, the guy said, "Your mother raised you right." The other guy didn't bring sweets. And I got the listing.
He got the listing.
That's great.
Yeah, so he does think outside
you
the
take
box.
something with you, and it shows them that you care.
So that's your listing presentation.
Yes, Shatila.
And you come from a place of service. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no question.
Yeah.
It really does.
And when you enjoy the business, I mean, it's always gonna work because you're happy and people get that energy from you. You gotta energize people. Like moving people is not easy. People think it's easy. It's not.
No, it's a big
You gotta give them energy
Yeah.
to get up and move
It's
and
a,
do this
it's,
and
a
do that.
huge, it's a huge thing.
It is. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not. I mean, now everybody's on social media, which is great, but there's really a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into selling a property and moving somebody from one house to the next. And you gotta have all the answers to their questions, because if you don't, you're not gonna look like an expert, and they're gonna go with the next person.
Yes, absolutely.
So how do you use social media to expand your network? Do you do anything
I
like that?
don't think I use it to expand my network. I think I use it to show my network that I'm doing good. And then when your network sees that you're doing good, they believe more in you.
Yes, absolutely.
So, I'm the annoying guy on social media that only shows when I'm closing. Sold, I'm shaking somebody's hand. That's all I show, you know what I'm saying? But it shows people that he's closing deals, he must know what he's doing. Let's give him a shot. So that's
But
kind of
I love your answer because, a lot of people are always thinking about how do I expand my network? And your response was, I use it to show my network that I'm working. I think that is the strategy that is ultimately going to help you expand your network.
Absolutely.
Because your network is going to feel more confidence in themselves to refer you to someone else that they trust, because they know
That's
that
big.
you're going to take care of them, because they see all the hard work.
Yeah, nobody wants to refer somebody to somebody and then they say, "Why'd you send me this guy? He didn't take care of me. It didn't work out." So, when somebody refers somebody to you, that's like a big deal to me.
Yeah.
And I make sure that person goes back to the person that referred me and says, "You know what, thank you for sending me this person." And sometimes if you're optimistic too, you get lucky. Like you gotta believe that it's gonna be okay and it's gonna work. And if you have that in your mind, it ends up working out.
Yeah.
Optimism is big in our business.
Yeah.
Actually, people don't realize that.
That actually brings us to a question, so what would you say for yourself? Do you consider yourself a positive person then?
Absolutely.
So what is it that you do to keep yourself in that positive mindset?
What I do is to keep myself in a positive mindset. I would say I'm very happy where I'm at in life, and I always say to myself, "Man, thank God, where I've been, where we've all been, down, and I'm so happy to be where I'm at, self-employed, making it, and from this business, like you can do so many things. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So many things can happen. You learn so much. You network with bankers, you network with your broker, and you see what other people are doing. So there's a lot of good things happening from real estate. You know what I mean? It's a source to a lot of things.
So you're grateful.
Very grateful.
That's one of the biggest things.
Absolutely, very grateful.
Also, if people start talking about negative things in front of you, do you spend time there?
You know what that? No, I don't. I don't.
Yeah, he'll run away from that situation.
Yeah,
He doesn't need it,
I don't
and
want it. No.
because in this business it's hard work, and you want to keep your mindset positive, so that way you can serve others.
Absolutely.
So, and I saw that
Yeah.
a couple times.
Yeah.
I think I texted you once.
You
said,
did.
"Hey,
Like,
you
why
ran out.
didn't you engage?
How'd you bash out of there so
I was like,
fast?"
listen, bro, I got a lot of things going on. I gotta keep a strong mindset.
Good for you.
Thank
Do you run like Forrest Gump?
I do. Yeah,
If you have to run, sometimes you gotta run away.
Yeah, if you're in sales, you gotta keep as many high energy, positive people around you as possible. And my family, they're all doing well. They all have good spirits. My broker, you know, she's always laughing, smiling. Robert, he's always, you know, there to help you. And
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of people that are doing really well around me, and I think I'm a product of my environment, to be honest with you. At the end of the day, more than anything, that's the most important part.
You're the man, Abe.
Yep, thank you. And Shady coming along board has given us a lot of
Oh,
a lot of tools and resources and great ideas, and it's really brought the energy up even another level at our office, which is pretty amazing. So
So
we're happy to have you as well.
Thank
we're
you.
happy to have you. So when you go on events and you see someone, do you just go up to them and say, "Hi, I'm Abe Taleb with Remax"? I mean, what is your opening line?
I usually don't go up to people that I don't know. I go up to the people that I know so many people for so
Mhm.
long that like I just know a lot of people, so I make sure the people that I know what I'm doing.
Okay.
Tell them, hey, you know, I'm doing real estate, I'm doing really well. I always tell people I'm doing great.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they want to hear that to work with you. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Tell them, you know how much I sold, you know what I did, this, that, and then they'll gain confidence in you, and then they'll call you and say, hey, you know what, I'm thinking about doing this or I'm thinking about doing that. And you know, the crazy thing is in our business, conversations turn into checks. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's about, talking to as many people as possible.
So then keeping confidence and
Absolutely.
portraying confidence to others has been.
It's been a big deal, absolutely.
Do you keep your business cards on you 24/7, even in bed?
I do. And my business card is the stock Remax card. My face is not on my card. My face is not on my sign. I don't pay for any marketing at all. I'm a self-marketing machine.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
what I am.
And I can contest to that because he really doesn't. It's all within his network.
Yeah.
It's everyone he knows. It's he's not shy to ask for business. He's not shy to tell everybody his stats, what he sold, what he knows, and that's one thing I think that helps you too in this business is that you're not shy.
Right, but you know what he's doing is he's giving the absolute best service that he can to
Right.
the people that he's working with.
Right.
So that when they're talking about their experience with him,
Yes.
that's the best form of marketing you can ever have.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And Robert's the same kind of way. You don't really pay for marketing.
No.
You're good
I
at
don't
what
pay
you
for
do.
I don't pay for marketing.
Yeah.
I use the phone and I
There you
stay
go.
in contact.
You're good at what you do, and people like what you do, so they refer you business, and you're a hunter, and you're always hunting for more business, and you're always building it,
Yeah.
on a daily basis.
And we've talked about the intention behind it is to make their experience great and
Yeah.
for them to do
Yeah.
to do the best you possibly
If
can.
you help somebody get a good deal and they bought a house and they're happy, you change their life, literally.
I mean, you made the American dream
You
possible.
change their life, literally change their life. People tell me that, say, man, I didn't know I could have bought this
Yeah.
condo. Like my client Alex, for example. He's one guy I met at the gym that bought $1 million in real estate in 1 year.
Wow.
Literally $1 million.
Someone's gonna
He
go to
didn't-
your
he
gym.
didn't realize he was doing it all.
He didn't even know he could get a loan. And he was a pharmacist, and I told him, of course you
A
could get a loan.
pharmacist, of course he can get.
Yeah,
a
but he
loan.
didn't know. He's like I don't want to get too deep into it, but he didn't know he could get a loan. I told him you can get a loan. He bought one property, he did well. He bought another. His wife bought one. Then he bought like a couple of more investment properties. So, like I said, conversations in real estate are the most important thing that people could underestimate. Is you talking.
Good. So hey, why don't you give the audience some tips right now? Like, you're blessed. You already had, a family and friends that you had. That was your foundation.
Right.
Somebody might also have the same foundation you do, but don't know how to use it, or somebody else out there might not have that foundation. How do you go about building a foundation and or tapping into their foundation?
I would say to go to an office where there's a lot of people that are producing, that are doing really well, learn from them, and have them mentor you, and then go to your foundation, your sphere of influence, and then share the knowledge that you have, because not everybody has the real estate knowledge that we have, because we're learning every day, right?
Right.
People are not. If you work and you're a lawyer, for example, you're not really paying attention to the market like we do. So you give them information, and the information you're giving them is helping them, and then they're going to work with you because you're helping them based on the information you're giving them.
So always be asking yourself, what do the people in my network need to know, and how can I communicate that to them?
I have a lot of knowledge in the real estate business based on my resources at our office, and people do know that now about me, that like he knows what he's talking about.
Mhm.
So when you know what you're talking about, people are going to be confident with you helping them make that big decision, the big 90% of the time, 95% of the time. the biggest decision in their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, Robert or Sherry, why don't one of you guys do a role play with him right now where you're basically someone in his network and he's going to give you a call and let's see what the conversation's going to go like. Somebody probably out there knows that they need to do this but don't know what to say
Yeah.
and don't know how to have that conversation and,
Right.
and clearly you're very good at that.
Right.
So choose your partner. Do you want to role play with Sherry or do you want to role play with
I wanna
Robert?
play with Robert.
Why? Because you're not ruthless?
No, because he's more of a phone call guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You're
How about this?
REO boss.
You're gonna do a role play with
No, I'm
him,
good. I'm good.
you
I'm
know?
good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Yeah, just give me
I'm
a
good.
call.
I'm
Do what you do.
good.
Hey Rob, how are you?
Good. How are
It's
you?
Abe. How's everything?
Good, Abe. How's it going?
Good. What's going on with you? Anything coming up? Looking to buy or sell any real estate?
You know what? I'm not sure if I can get approved.
Well, let me tell you this. This is a great time to buy real estate because interest rates are very great and we're in a very stable market where properties that are being priced to sell are selling. And if you get approved now with these rates, it'd be a great time for you to buy because the market is still appreciating.
You know, Abe, I was wondering because I'm living with my parents right now. I wasn't sure I can get approved.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to go about doing something like this.
Yeah, so basically I know what it would take for you to get approved. So if you tell me about your finances and what your credit score is like and what kind of debt you have, I could tell you basically if you would be qualified myself. And then based on the information you give me, I'll tell you, which lender to go to and they could get you qualified for a loan.
Okay, so I just graduated from the nursing program.
Great,
So I just got a job
great,
and I'm making $50,000 a year.
that's great.
So what do you think I can get?
There's a lot of programs for people like you who just graduated where the banks are willing to actually lend to you just based on your degree alone. And even without having 2 years of prior work history, based on the fact that you do have a contract that you're going to be signed up, the banks will actually lend you and you will get a
Oh,
great
so I can get
interest rate.
approved right now.
Yes,
can get
through
approved
your
now.
diploma.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So what do I got to do now?
Just call my lender.
Okay.
Call your
Wow.
multiple lenders you have.
I have multiple lenders that I work with. They're all great. And you could do your own diligence and Google them and research them and pick one and they'll get you pre-qualified and we'll start looking at houses based on your time frame.
Okay, great. Sounds
That was
good.
awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
That was awesome.
It was.
And you know what showed up for me is that he really knows what he's talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you know,
He knows everything.
somebody else would have just like literally said, "Well, let me get you in contact with 2-3 lenders, let them help you." But then again, because he knew,
We don't have the information in this office, Robert Sherry, to talk to somebody and ask them the questions as long as they're comfortable answering them, to know if they're applicable for a mortgage or not.
how do you get people to feel comfortable with you?
I think you got to be nice to them. You got to care about what they say, and it's not. Even though we have the knowledge, you want to listen to what they say and try to, take on what they're saying and say, you know what? Okay, let's try this too. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
probably exactly what you wanted to hear.
Yeah.
So
So
basically, you listen.
Yeah.
I gotta say something about that.
Because we talked about this before we met with you.
Oh,
So
I
this
I
guy's a
gotta change my
listener.
position to
Yeah.
see this. I
So,
gotta
yeah,
put my ear
Shay,
this
go
way.
ahead. Expand on what you asked.
Me and Robert were talking a little bit ago about you, and I said, because you and I have done a lot of work with each other, and one of the things I'm always trying to drill in the minds of every single person I work with that wants to become a master of influence and get people to do what you want them to do is always say, look, the biggest foundation to all your powers in communication is not just what you say,
Right.
it's your listening.
Right.
And I told Robert, I think Abe has got to be the best listener
Yes.
I've ever met.
Yes.
Thank you, I appreciate
Yes.
it, yeah.
The other day, people were doing the talking and Abe was just listening.
Yeah, you know what? There's people around me that are more experienced, so I need to listen to what they're saying, right? Because I don't know it all, and for me to learn it, I gotta listen. If I'm just gonna act like I know it all, then I'm gonna look arrogant, and people are not gonna like that. So when you're listening to people who've been doing it for so long, you're learning. And you know the saying for remix is the more you earn, the more you learn, the more you earn. That's
Which is my quote.
Which is true though.
Yeah.
So you got your quote out of the way now.
Yeah, your quote out of the way.
I'll give you my quote. You can use my quote.
But all in honesty, Remax have the most experienced agents. We really are the most experienced
Hey,
agents
talking
on
about
the field.
that, I'm gonna stop you right here. I'm just gonna say congratulations. Your office just ranked #1 in the country
Yes.
on per agent transactions.
Yes.
That's
So
a big deal because Remax is the #1 franchise. So now you're the number one franchise and you're the number one in the country. So it's like being the number one McDonald's
Yeah.
in sales. You know,
And,
it's a big deal.
That's
you know?
right. We have like all these, number one in Michigan, and then per agent transaction, number one in the country,
Yes.
and then single individual selling real estate, you're also number one in the country. How many more number one spots can we get so we
still
can
a lot
get them
more.
all?
We're not done.
See, I was smart enough to surround myself with number one.
And you know what? This all data can be verified through Real Trends to 500 brokerages too for 2018. The reports are out. It all can be verified, and all the data and status is there.
Yep.
So Remax Leading Edge is number one in the country per average agent transaction. An average Remax Leading Edge agent sells 39.4 transactions.
That's right. And for all you investors out there, Sherry is the top REO broker. If you want to buy investment property, we get a lot of great bank-owned properties that we have access to that the average agent doesn't, directly through our brokers. So, I mean, don't hesitate to call our office anytime for investment purposes.
Should they call your number or her number?
And we're
No,
all,
no, no,
we're all-
exactly.
we're all one
Yeah,
family.
well,
She evenly spreads it out, so
Yes.
it's okay.
Love it.
Very easy. 313-277-7777.
That's right. Actually, if you Google my name, Sherry's number comes up. Her direct cell. Not the office.
I think he did it that way
No,
because he was scared to say, were you shy in the beginning to answer the phone?
No, it's just weird how if you
Just
Google
we're
my
all
name,
one
her,
team.
her cell phone comes up.
I love it. I love it.
I fixed that too, by the way.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
I love it.
Yes.
All right, so guys, let's just, if anybody has any final questions for Abe, let's ask it right now, and let's just wrap up. I think we've extracted a lot of good knowledge.
Yes.
I think this has been a good episode. It's been a completely unique episode than the ones we've done
Yes.
before. And my final question to you would be as follows: if there's a lot you do, and there's a lot that you're good at.
Right.
But just one thing that you want to tell everybody out there, if you missed everything I've talked about, this is the one thing I want you to do to take your business to the next level. What would that one thing be?
The one thing to take your business to the next level is you have to sacrifice. And what are you going to really sacrifice to separate is your time. And you got to give people your time, and you got to make yourself available. And that's really what I did. Like I literally worked 360 days last year. So in a very competitive market, where everybody wants to be a real estate agent, that's the only way. You know what I mean?
All right.
Putting up a billboard or mailers, and everybody's already doing that. But if you give it your actual time, and people see you're working, you're coming, you're going to the city building, you're meeting the inspector, you're meeting the appraisal, all these little details that come up in our business that people don't see on social media is really what makes the business go, not just
Right.
saying.
Amazing advice.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's sacrifice. You have
Yes.
to.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You gotta sacrifice your. If
Apply
you're not gonna get
yourself at the highest level.
exactly.
Any final questions for him, Robert?
No, but I think this was an amazing
Amazing.
advice.
Yes.
I think it's gonna help
Yes.
a lot
I'm
of
honored
people.
to be here. I appreciate it.
Good, Cherry. Any final questions for Abe?
You know what? Thank you, Abe.
Thank you for having me.
So
It's
you-
great.
So you guys know how we like to end the show every single week. Everyone's gonna give you a quote, and then everyone's gonna give you a book recommendation. And I'll go first.
Go ahead, Jen.
Okay. So we said that my question with you earlier, knowledge equals confidence. Okay. And for me personally, I can say I didn't grow up having any confidence at all. I'm a very shy introvert. And I knew that if I wanted to become successful and take my life to the next level and become a leader, I gotta get the knowledge. And where did I get the knowledge from? I got the knowledge from the books I read. I got the knowledge from the books I read, and I read so many books. And that's why we decided together that we're gonna end the show with a book recommendation each and every single week. So the book that I am gonna recommend today is a book I've never really shared with anyone before. And I've never even shared it with any of my clients, and it's been one of the greatest books I personally ever read, and it's called The Double Diamond Principle. So I know for everyone that's watching this or listening to this and been on my podcast and my speeches and all that stuff, they've never heard me make that book recommendation. It's a must read. It's called The Double Diamond Principle by Dr. Mike Murdoch. So who's next?
My favorite book would be Goals by Brian Tracy. It's a great book. I think you should check it out, and it'll teach you how to set good goals.
Love it. And talking about Brian Tracy, he's the guy that I've done a lot of work and study under, and that book is an excellent book because in that book, one of the things that he talks about is that the moment you commit your goal to writing is the moment you increase your odds of achieving that goal by 1,000%. So Abe, that is an excellent recommendation.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And what was the quote?
My quote is confidence breeds excellence. If you're confident, you're gonna be excellent. So you gotta find confidence in yourself. Confidence breeds excellence. That's my quote.
Love it. Share
Very
it.
nice.
My book recommendation is How to Win Friends and Influence People.
And that's by Dr. Stephen Covey, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
And do you have a quote for us this week?
When you take care of your network will take care of you.
Love it. Congruent 100%
Very
with the
good.
whole entire topic of discussion today. Good job, Sherry.
Thank you.
So the book recommendation for me today is The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. That's an awesome book. It just talks about how your failures and defeats are always what leads you to the success that you want to achieve. So don't give up. And then the quote for today is the more you learn, the more you earn, which is again very
Yeah.
congruent.
Yes.
Yeah,
Very congruent
absolutely.
with the conversations we've been having today.
Love it. Love it. Hey, I gotta shake your hand.
Me
Thank you
too.
so much for
Me
shaking that
too.
muscle, man.
Congratulations,
Thank you so
Abe.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. I
Awesome.
appreciate it.
For everyone out there, if you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone else that can benefit from it. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review and a positive rating, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of the Real Estate Leading Edge podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with anyone you know who can benefit from the interview. And don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating and a positive review. Thank you, and see you next week.